Peter, it's good to have you.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Marizona. It's been months.
Yeah, I have had some things on my plate, but I'm glad to be here.
Well, the things you had on your plates are showing here, your cakes. It's good to have you, by the way. Welcome.
It's a big plate.
It's a big plate, right? Yeah. It's good to have you on the show. Well, let's so before we talk about United, because I know you have this soft spot for Manchester United, but let's talk about Arsenal. Yesterday, for the third consecutive time, played a draw and squandered a chance of getting some points cushion against bitter rivals Manchester City. But talk to us about the 3-3 draw yesterday and the fact that they had to claw themselves back because Southampton had some
Angus.
Yeah.
And in the Premier League, the league toppers were playing bottom place. Arsenal was playing Southampton.
Yeah.
And so it was expected generally that yesterday, both games would be high-scoring games in favor of the league toppers.
League toppers, yeah.
And so it was kind of really disappointing when, in about 22 seconds, Southampton were on top. And I thought it was a fluke event. You know, these things happen in the Manchester City play 4 centre-backs to show you that Guardiola knows that his defense is key to winning this title.
Absolutely.
And then Arsenal have to settle for holding. Tomiyasu is injured, Saliba is injured. There's no time frame on when they will be back, though hopefully they should have them for the City game on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I personally believe that yesterday was not a fluke game. Yesterday,
till last week or 2 weeks ago rather, they were good. Winning games, getting points off top teams and all of that. All of a sudden, things came crashing down after that draw against Liverpool, drew West Ham, and drew Southampton again. Now, this is the business end of the season where every single result counts and matters. You know, and then there's been this talk about quality, squad depth and all of that. Do you think that this Arsenal team still has a chance? And then the top Arsenal with just 1 point. Do you still think that Arsenal have a chance at this trophy, even with the way they're playing right now?
Arsenal have a chance at the trophy because they have one job to do, and that job is to beat City at Etihad. You know, the funny thing is that the outside chance of that happening is relatively slim, but we cannot write them off. But however, I personally believe that Arsenal are not winning the league. Why? I'll give you this. You go to Anfield and you do what nobody has been able to do for a long time. You take a 2-goal lead and then you bottle that.
Yeah.
Then you go to West Ham, you go to London. It's just basically your backyard.
Yeah.
The first half of the season, Arsenal beat every London team. They did not draw any London team. Southampton home. Arsenal have a crazy record. The only game they haven't scored in the first half at home is against Newcastle. Yeah. And then my expectation was, okay, they'll get a goal in the first half. My expectation was not Southampton gets 2 goals in the first half. You know that.
Yeah.
Then you come back in the second half and then you still concede a goal to Southampton. It's not looking good.
Yeah, now, let's talk about the decline. What has been the reason for this decline, this recent decline for Arsenal?
It's simply squad quality. Yeah. That defense was always on top when Saliba and Ben White with the right centre back and the right back pairing. And then when you take that away now and we're using the profiles of holding, it's just not going to work. And then they didn't have Batty for some time. They were using Jorginho. Come on, there's a reason why Chelsea let him go. I mean, he's a great player.
Jorginho had a poor time at Arsenal so far.
In the first game, he was poor to start games when you are on the bench. If you have a player like Jorginho on the bench, you don't need to be rushing Partey to come into gym or into games. But because they know the quality is inherent, it's not there. They don't have that X factor. It's not there. And that is why they have to make sure that players like Partey start every game, players like Saliba start every game. And when you don't have the players like that, you can only bottle the league to a team like City.
Arsenal have games against, well, let's talk about City first before we talk about Arsenal. City have got games against Arsenal. Well, Sheffield United later this weekend. Arsenal, how many points can they get off these games?
Arsenal will not take 9 points from the next 3 games. Arsenal will not take 6 points from the next 3 games. Arsenal will take 4 points from the next 6 games.
But what's giving you the confidence?
Arsenal didn't beat Newcastle at home. Let's start from there. So now they're traveling to Newcastle's home. It's only going to get worse.
Newcastle are chasing the top 4 finish because there's Tottenham, chasing, bringing down the next is United also.
Yeah. When you're fighting for something, there's something else that motivates you to go on the pitch and give 100%. And that's what Newcastle will do. I don't want to talk about Brighton because all of us know how good Brighton are. They are going toe-to-toe with some of the best attacking managers in the league.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then I would personally not include Chelsea in the conversation because we know the kind of horror show Chelsea are putting on this season. But it's a derby. Things happen.
Form is thrown out of the window.
Yeah, this form is thrown out of the window. This is what happened when Leicester City won the league. Guess who stopped Tottenham from winning the league?
It was
Chelsea. Not like they were doing good, you know.
Yeah.
So you can't just write them off. A big game is a big game. And Arsenal have just shown us in the past 3 weeks that they cannot win small games in the running.
Chase to trying to fulfill this dream of winning the Premier League title this season.
I believe that is the most important game of Arsenal's season. None of the other things we've done up till now, none of the 12-point lead has been blown, none of that matters. Wednesday is all that matters. And I think that Arteta should be able to, at some point, play dirty. This is why I like Mourinho. At some point, you're not supposed to be chasing a total attacking football when you're playing against the best mastermind, arguably the best mastermind in the league.
I was going there now because obviously Arsenal's chances are very slim getting even slimmer by the day.
Yeah.
So what should Arteta do to hold on to this very slim chance, tactically speaking?
Get your first half goal and make sure that your defensive boys are on par. That is what I think. And also, I think you should not start Zinchenko. You should start Tierney. You need Zinchenko when you want to build up against teams. And Man City will not give you the opportunity to build up. In fact, I believe that for the majority of the game,
because over both legs, Bayern Munich had more of the possession. Yeah. And that is contradictory to what we know City to be. A ball possession team, particularly. So it looks like City are also trying to tilt towards not having much of the ball, but defending deeply. Yes,
Guardiola has finally hacked football. I used to say that whenever the day Guardiola wakes up and then he determines that, look, I don't want to be that position-based manager. I just want to win games. Yeah. And that is the day his fortunes will change. And he's just shown. And then it's clear that the defensive transitions in the team are centered to winning games. The chance Sané had the second chance Sané had in the first half, he couldn't take that shot because there were 5 bodies in front of him.
Yeah.
And that's what Arteta should do. You cannot attack wins you games. You have the defenders to go toe-to-toe with City. Yeah. So just sit back. You get your chances. Of course, it's City. Bayern got their chances. You will get your chances. Sit back, take your chances, and then defend like your life depends on it.
All right, so let's talk about the games expected later. Today, Fulham take on Leeds United. The United-Chelsea game is postponed due to Manchester United's engagement in the FA Cup. Crystal Palace take on Everton. Liverpool take on Nottingham Forest. Brentford, Aston Villa. Leicester City, Wolves. Brighton take on City. Has been postponed, sadly. Newcastle take on Tottenham tomorrow. And Bournemouth take on West Ham United. Well, let's talk about your Manchester United. Yeah. A disaster class performance on Thursday. Sadly, the bottle made a 2-2 draw, but there was so much energy heading into the second leg. We talked about the fact that United were in the best of form. They were chasing another trophy, the Europa League. But talk to us about what happened and how did United go from top to bottom that night?
First of all, I think football is a game that is influenced by several factors. And the off-field factors were against us. We had one on-field factor that was against us. That's Harry Maguire.
Now we'll talk about Maguire. we'll talk about Maguire, but let's talk about the off-field factors that affected United's win.
The first thing is the squad depth and the injuries. You're playing Sevilla at home. You're 2 goals up, and then which means suspension. And then Ten Hag does that because he wants to keep his players. But then Bruno gets that yellow card. So what is the rationale behind taking him off when you know he's going to miss the second game?
Yeah.
We can speak all we want about Nottingham in the weekend, but that was always going to be an easy win. It's Manchester United, for fuck's sake. Yeah. You understand?
Yeah.
So I believe, for God's sake, sorry.
Yeah, we apologize for his emotionalness.
So the thing is, I think very strongly that squad depth has cost us. Varane went down, Martinez went down, I knew my season was over. But I am a delusional fan. I believe that we can still do it because, of course, we're Manchester United. And then he just turned out that, of course, we can't do it. You can't do it with Harry Maguire on the pitch, with Luke Shaw on the pitch. The lack of the squad depth, and then the man in charge of the decision making that took out those important players before the 75th minute cost us a lot.
But Erik ten Hag, now he's made some very questionable decisions at some points this season. But this is a man who came in with so much energy, so much promise, and we said, well, this is the savior of United. He's got a tactical brilliance and all of that. Do you think that Ten Hag is tactically sound enough to help United?
Yeah, I think it's a question of him being tactically sound enough, but not having enough tools to work with. That's Manchester United's biggest problem.
But you talk about tools. Players were signed for him. We got Casemiro, got Anthony, got Christian Eriksen, got Taro Malacia, got Lisandro Martinez.
Fernandes, my captain, wasn't on the field. Only Anthony was on the field.
Now Fernandes is suspension. Yeah. Malacia was a decision to keep him on the bench and play Luke Shaw.
His error leading to the goal.
Sadly, Lisandro Martinez was an injury. But let's talk about the attack because we'll come to Maguire. I'm saving Maguire for the last. But let's talk about the attack because I think it's disastrous that United couldn't even create a century.
I'm done with Jadon Sancho and Anthony Martial. I'm done with Martial because I think the quality is there, but he can't stay fit to save himself. And I'm done with Sancho because that is not the winger that can dominate games in the Premier League and in Europe. Fine, he must have done it at Dortmund, but it's a different ball game.
What has changed from the Sancho?
He's trying to think. The midfield is going to think for you. That's why Bruno Fernandes is there. That's why Christian Eriksen is there. They will do the thinking for you. Just run. They'll find you with passes. Sancho wants to be the one to think. And if he's not going to play midfield, so if you're not going to run, you have to be thinking. And you cannot think on the wings for a club like Manchester United. He's not making any particularly important defensive actions or even creating as many chances offensively. That's a liability on the pitch.
Yeah.
Look at the way we play when Rashford plays on the wing. He's always running. So
let's talk about Harry Maguire then. Obviously, I know you've been going there. But first of all, talk to us about his performance on the night against Sevilla.
The funny thing is that this the Maguire performance is is myopic in a way, in a sense, because I think that somebody also needed to be scapegoated aside Maguire, and that's David De Gea.
Yeah.
Because Maguire is a centre back that has the limitations of mobility and
quick thinking.
Yeah, and quick thinking.
Yeah.
And of course, there was a game against Betis. We had the same. Martinez was isolated in the same situation, but he could wriggle himself out because he thinks fast and is more mobile.
Yeah.
Now, I would agree to perform at this level for Manchester United, and he wears the captain armband.
Well,
okay, your captain doesn't do this.
There are lots of problems, about Maguire. But let's talk about De Gea too before we come back to Maguire. First of all, De Gea is not the ball playing goalkeeper. So what came over him that he was passing the ball around? Yes, on Thursday trying to be the sweeper keeper. This is not your strength. So De Gea needs to get loads of blames. The second goal they conceded, the third goal they conceded was totally unnecessary. Shoot the ball out. If you know, like that's the highest this season.
The thing is, first of all, about a few hours after the game on Twitter, the PR journalists, the English PR journalists already came out saying that they have wants a keeper that can play with his legs and this, that. Yeah. And it's just clear that the offer on the table they gave him will not be upped. You're either going to take that offer and sit down as a second choice,
or you go.
Yeah. I think yesterday or Thursday was damning enough. It was enough proof to initiate the sequence of actions that will ensure that United has a new keeper by the next transfer window or by the next start football from the back, the build-up. And he's not just good enough. His passing range is poor. He lacks the composure. And then another thing is, all of us celebrate De Gea as being an immensely gifted shot stopper.
Yeah, he has lots of clean sheets this season.
Yeah, but in the past few seasons, when I look at the stats, you see that De Gea is not even doing enough defensively to warrant that tag as being an immensely gifted high balls. Yeah. Another thing is, De Gea does not dominate his box. He's 6 yard. There's some goals you don't concede against people like Raya or Brentford. There's some goals you don't concede against even Ramsey. I know Ramsey had a shocker yesterday, but these things happen.
I think it was a one-off.
Yeah, it's a one-off. But for De Gea, it's not a one-off. He's just not good enough to compete at this level for Manchester United because his ball playing limitations and some of his defensive actions are so.
You had a chance.
He also knocked out Portugal too because the header that El Nesri scored
exactly was a howler.
Now the Champions League last season, Liverpool beat Porto, scoring 7 goals. Yeah. And then Salah came out to say scored more. But this is to show you the kind of talent that young man has. His passing range is excellent. He is young, and then he has what I call grinta. He has ice in his veins and he has fire in his heart. He always wants to play. He commands his centre backs. He lets them know what he expects of them, and he makes sure that he keeps them on his toes. His defenders are not caught slacking with him. Of course, the howlers will fizzle out at some point in his career, and I think the best coach to take him to that point in his career is Erik ten Hag at Manchester United.
You talk about David De Gea in this manner. It makes me wonder. This man has come through for United for the past couple of seasons since 2013.
Flowers. Well, flowers die.
Oh, nice.
He deserves flowers. The flowers die.
Nice.
So it's this. Tony Cruz said something that he rather leave when he's still useful to the team than stay long enough to become a liability. You either leave a hero or you die a villain, and that's what's up with De Gea. Because we're at the point where football is transitional. It's going to the point where the build-up needs to begin every team's attack, needs to begin the team's phase of domination of play. And De Gea is a liability in that aspect, in that regard. So I think Ten Hag knows this and he will cut his losses.
Oh, that's interesting to see. The struggle continues for Manchester United, but qualifying for the top 4 should be a plus for this season, right?
A priority. I think moving into this season, the benchmark set for Erik ten Hag was you get a trophy, which he has done, and then you qualify for the top 4. Looking at the number of fixtures we have left and the opponents we're playing, I think that's done.
You classify United season as success, right?
Yes, it's a success. Of course, we've not had Silva already gone. It's a success for me.
Now, I saw a list before we talk about something else, Peter. I saw a list of players who might be leaving Manchester United at the end of the season.
It was a long list.
It was a 15-man list, and I'm trying to check that out. But I know David De Gea is in the list already. There's Harry Maguire in that list.
Two of them are the first names on the
Victor Lindelof.
Jadon Sancho. No, I would keep Lindelof.
Keep Lindelof. There's Aaron Wan-Bissaka in that list too.
It is in this regard that I have my inhibitions on the kind of coach Erik ten Hag is. Yeah. Because at Ajax, he had a great sporting director.
Absolutely.
Okay. He had a wonderful CEO. Van der Sar is class.
Definitely.
And some of these decisions, he didn't need to make them because he had football people thinking for him. But in Manchester United, he doesn't have that. Our former football director is an accountant. That's poor. So he has to make some of these choices for himself.
But not as bad as Chelsea. Chelsea are way below.
It's for Chelsea. We have 3 midfielders that are below par. Fred, well,
He's had a roller coaster season at United.
I can't make up my mind on Fred because he's a servant, and servants are content with sitting on the bench, getting in 20, 30 games, or not up to 30.
But let's talk performance.
Performance, he always
Below average or slightly above average.
Fred is not below average, he's average. But he's much better than McTominay. So if there was if I was to keep one, I'll keep Fred.
Anthony Martial.
Got my losses.
Really?
And I'll be very happy about that because I have had to endure so much drives, so much banter because people just steal my player.
Definitely.
Can you imagine? He was actually touted to be an option in the absence of Martinez and Aurier, and I'm so glad that he couldn't make it.
I saw that story.
That's
Brandon Williams, Anthony Elanga.
They are all leaving. The Manchester United Academy is fun, but you're not making it to the first team playing this like this.
Definitely.
Go and play for.
In the wake of De Gea's recent failures at goalkeeping position, there's been talk about Dean Henderson and the fact that he's not been given a running, especially as a first-team goalkeeper. Don't you think this man deserves a chance?
Two things about Dean Henderson. The first thing is whatever problem Manchester United has with Dean Henderson today was caused by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole promised him game time, said so many nice words to him. Right. I want to leave. I want to play. I've been lied to already. I think that already turning down a manager like Erik ten Hag is already grounds for you to leave the club. It's enough grounds for you to leave the club. No matter what somebody else did to you, Erik is not Ole. I think we've been able to see that this season, his lineups have been position based and purpose. Yeah. I don't like the academy graduate tax. I don't like it personally because we've had too many academy graduates that are good, but if few have actually made it into the first team, I think there's only one of them right now in the first team that should start every game. That's Rashford.
Yeah, Rashford
is not good enough. Elanga, the rest of them should be so. So I think let's just be funneling academy graduates for other teams. They deserve them. You understand? We make some 20 mil, 30 mil, 15 mil. Use them to fund transfer for world class
Not good enough for you.
Not good enough for
That's interesting to see. But we'll take a short break from here. When we come back, we'll talk about Chelsea and the confusion as to who should be named the manager. Recently, was Julio Nagelsmann all through the media, Mauricio Pochettino, the former Tottenham, former PSG manager. We'll talk about that after the show time. I'll stick around.
In for Hurtado! An all-timer from Eric Hurtado! Louis Gasset is his corner now. The cross, back post, Dubois is there. Straight back in! Oh, it's a goal! Léo Dubois! In for Hurtado! An all-timer from Eric Hurtado!
Thank you very much for sticking around. It's still Battle of the Fans and it's live and exclusive to Spectrum Television. It's been interesting going down since 9:30 a.m. and we're here to talk a lot more. Well, there's been a competition going down in Ogun State. It's called the NPFL Under 15 Tournament. It's one of those tournaments where, players are given a chance to grow particularly and we have a chance to unearth young talent across the country. We know that Nigeria is blessed with loads of footballing talents, but we barely have these competitions where we give them a chance to develop, grow, and stay. If you're reading them, it's good to have you on Spectrum TV. Welcome.
It's good to be live on Spectrum TV.
Yeah, so we know you're a proponent of the NPFL on the 15 tournament. You're a proponent of the phrase "catch them young" in the context of football talent development. Well, talk to us. How has the tournament been so far?
It has been fantastic. We've seen some of the finest young players in this country showcase their skills, and it's a grassroots developmental competition. So it is not issue that Rangers International, Plateau United, Remo Stars, Aqua United, I have to insist on that one, have done pretty well. Sunshine Stars came back from the dead. We've seen tears, we've seen joy, we've seen all the drama that is associated with football.
All right, so thank you very much. We'll talk about the tournament holistically in the course of the show, but let's talk about Aqua United because you're an official of the Aqua United under 15 team. Talk to us about the energy in the camp. How has the energy been for the boys? We know that they've qualified for the quarterfinals of the competition and they'll play later tomorrow, but talk to us about the energy in camp for the boys. So far so good.
The boys are in high spirit. You know, when it comes to Aqua United, we always talk about excellence. The chairman of the club is a proponent of excellence, and the boys. Sometimes I wonder if they were going for a football competition or they were going for a feeding competition because they've been eating very well, they've been training very well. They are poised for the next phase of the competition. They understand the goal is for them to do better than what they did 2 years ago when they reached the semi-final.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a rest day for them, so they rested. They've trained this morning. Later in the day, they will train again, and technically it will be tactical training, trying to see what they can do because they've conceded goals in this competition. That is one area the coach is after us reducing or making.
Plateau United, Shooting Stars, Sunshine Stars, Aqua United, El Kanemi Warriors, Remo Stars, and Wiki Tourists have all qualified for the final 8 of the competition, the quarterfinals particularly. Now, looking at the quality of the other teams, what are the chances of Aqua United getting this trophy? Like you said, 2 years ago, they reached the semi-finals, couldn't qualify.
Be realistic because I can't just tell people, look, Aqua United will win this competition. It's going to be very difficult. Teams here are very, very good. When I say very good, Remo Stars, they just came back from the United States of America. They had a tournament where Beyond Limit when played against Manchester United, presented by Miss Academy. And so I'm talking to you now, they've just beaten Eyimba by 4-1 in the quarterfinals of the first quarterfinal. So they are a very, very good side. Sunshine Stars, we Aqua United played against them. We defeated them in the group stages. And then I feel outside Remo Stars and Plateau United.
Here they reached the semi-final. So what was as a good outing for Team Aqua United in this competition?
Anything better than the semi-finals outing will be a plus. You have to recall that this is not a team that comes from an academy. That players that have been picked from school. So a group of boys are being kept together. They will go places. They will do better in subsequent competitions.
All right, so still talking about some more stories. If you're you made mention of the fact that the Aqua United team did not have and on the 17 and on the 15, the feeders team particularly. And you see what's happening with Remo Stars, how they've been able to, unearth young stars, gather them around and taking them across the country, channel our energy towards developing young stars in the state.
I believe the onus is not just on Aqua United, it's about well-willing Akwa Ibomites organizing competitions that they can fish out the best talent when it comes to at under 15, under 13 level in the state. It's not just getting players that are based in Uyo. We have players in Orofo, Oruku, Eastern Obolo. The rest of the local government in the state have to also participate. When you're talking about Aqua United, you have to know the limits of the budget for them. They don't have a budget that covers the youth setup. It's an MPFL side. So the youth setup, the academy setup, it's not really there and it's not really part of the budget.
All right, let's talk about the tournament. We know that you are one of the proponents of the Catch Them Young phrase with regards to football talent development. You've done that over time. I see your work in secondary schools across the state. So kudos to you, by the way. But let's talk about this tournament. Nigeria as a country is still in great extent lacking behind in terms
have come to stay. This is about the 5th edition of this competition. So it's a competition every single year we see improvement. It has improved. This year is better than last year. It's better than what we saw in Enugu. The screening, the level of organization, the referees are better, and then the quality of football is better. That's why we've had more goals than any competition we've had football. Football in Nigeria, it boils down to grassroots. If the grassroots is faulty, I believe we won't even have a successful under 17, talk less of under 20 side. So for these boys, most of them have been picked to represent Nigeria at under 15 level against other players that are of their age category, not just in Nigeria, but outside the shores of the country.
Well, there's definitely going to be a plethora of football scouts in competitions like this. So I'd love to ask you, what are your expectations at the end of the tournament with regards to the chances of some of these brightest talents securing deals, you know, abroad, maybe getting scholarships abroad and maybe becoming big stars in Europe?
A lot of them might become great footballers, but then it's a developmental competition. Somebody might be on the bench and then become a better player than the player who was the top scorer, because it boils down to discipline and the development of the player. Maybe a lot of things might distract the player, but from what I've seen in this competition, there are a lot of kids who are, some of these teams are already out, but then some of the players have already been picked despite the teams losing, but then they've been picked for the national under 15. There's Usoro from a Rangers, fantastic player. He can dribble anybody. Just reminds me of a young Lionel Messi. He's as young as he is. He's very, very talented. And then the sky will be the limit for them.
If you've not mentioned some of our bright stars in Akwa United, I'm respecting you to talk about Akanimo Johnson. I know him very well. He's a fantastic baller. Don't you think he also has got a bright future?
Already been picked for the next group, as in the 23 players. We're talking about Kadimo Johnson, we call him a back. Then we'll talk about Daniel Mendy, who's a fantastic left footer, good dribbler. He can bend it anywhere, whether like Beckham, whether like fitting the central defender, Ubongabasi Prince. So they've had we have 5 good players who have been nominated. Adekeme Jackson as well. He had a wonderful assist in the first game against Sunshine. He also have wonderful players as well, who 2 of them were picked, the captain of the side and the striker. Incidentally, the striker, they nicknamed him Company, and was asking why you call Company is a defender, but you are a striker. But the young man has done very well, despite Dakada being knocked out in the first round of this competition.
All right, thank you so much, Ifyok, for talking to us. We wish Akwa United the very best, and we hope that...
We are really struggling when it comes to food. I'm really missing white soup.
Oh, my
Truly
brother.
speaking, I'm missing white soup. I'm missing atama. I'm missing afang soup.
My brother, when you come back home, you would enjoy all of that. Sorry for the miss.
Thank you very much.
Have a lovely weekend. My regards to the
welcome.
team. All right, so that's it. If you're Reed Inham, the official of the Akwa United under 15 team, and you have it, the team are doing very well. Just so you know, Plateau United just defeated Eyimba by 4 goals to qualify for the semi-finals, becoming the first team to qualify for the semi-finals of the competition. So when we come back on Monday for Sports Central, we'll take you through the latest results from that story. Well, Peter, I see here. Well, Peter, in Nigeria, sadly, we pay a little or less attention to unearthing young talent. So talk to us about what you think of this under 15 tournament and why you think it's...
Castilla boys. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that done in France too.
Yeah.
They have one staple, one particular principle. You unearth this talent young. And it saves them from paying ridiculous transfer fees in the future
for players,
signing positions that could easily have been attainable back then. Now, the thing is, I think Nigeria is doing well. It's a nice trajectory, it's a nice path, but it needs improvement. And I cannot take it away from anybody, because I understand the situation of sports in the country right now. And I have to say that for the first time, things are looking up in that regard. But I also think that more needs to be done, opportunity-wise, because and there was a tournament in my area hosted by our clan head, and then he wasn't playing for any of those teams. It was a tournament for young boys, and I asked him why, and he said that the time he went for the trials, he was asked to pay a certain sum of money. Of course, you see things like this.
It's been a major problem. You know, I remember some years ago at the under 20 team, the coach came out to say that players had to pay, to get in. So what happens to players who do not have money that mirrors confusion this season?
Just chaos.
Chaos.
Chaotic football,
it's
chaotic
Chelsea.
management.
First of all, you sack Thomas Soko, you bring in Graham Potter.
Then you sack him too.
It's a Graham Potter, and of all people, you bring in Frank Lampard, who's had 14 losses in 16 games as a links with Christopher Vivo, the Chelsea sporting director, and all of that. But Nagelsmann has said, I don't want to come anymore. Now, they're talking about company and Mauricio Pochettino, and I'm wondering, I
think because of the way they are being managed and because of the profile of managers they're looking at, it's also done and dusted for them next season. So what we should be does that madness in the championship, and you take him and then you plant him in a club that is looking to qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah, not just qualify.
Next
Find
season,
stability.
Find stability. Next season, I can assure you one thing: Manchester United will sign players definitely. They will cement the place in the top 4. You already know that City and Arsenal will be staples there. You can't write off Newcastle; they have the money. You can't write off Spurs because these Spurs always find a way.
Definitely.
So I'm trying to look for a place to fit Chelsea in here, and I just don't see it in the top 4. You don't bring company from that job he's doing and then you fix him here. What the company is doing is great, but managers have done that. Look at Dean Smith for Norwich.
Yeah.
Anytime he went there, he did a madness and he brought them back immediately. Even Frank Lampard. Lampard doesn't count in the Premier League because this is different gravy. This is different football.
A different ball game.
Coaches need to take this step by step. The ideal scenario for Vincent Kompany would be to manage Burnley in the Premier League. You understand?
Yeah.
And then make a case for himself as a manager that's getting to that elite point where Chelsea can actually consider him.
Yeah.
How do you have Nagelsmann on the list and then he says, I don't want this? How do you have Enrique on the list and he says, I don't want this? Who really wants this?
It means something is wrong at Chelsea.
Who really wants this?
And I'm worried. But let's talk about Pochettino because he's also a name, linked with Chelsea. Now, Pochettino, take nothing away from him. He's a fine manager. But he is one man that doesn't have the mentality to win trophies. At PSG, it was PSG that won the trophy for him, not him winning the trophy for PSG. Yeah. And that's the conversation. So, coming to Chelsea, first of all, Chelsea needs stability. First of all, and secondly, Chelsea need to compete. Is Pochettino that man to give them those two things?
He's not the man, and I'm going to tell you why. With 3
disrespect to those boys.
No disrespect to them, but these are the conversations we should be having.
Give me the names when you call draws.
Is Modric worth 100 million?
Obviously not. But should we talk about worth?
Okay. I'll leave worth out of this. That's a good point. That's a fair point.
Because right now the market is inflated.
Yes, it's an inflated.
So let's not talk about worth. Let's talk about quality.
Quality-wise, he doesn't have what it takes to even bench Sterling at Chelsea on the left wing. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Madueke does not have the quality to start a game for Chelsea. The only player that has been invested in that looks like he's going to come good is Enzo Fernandez. Yeah. That is the only player in my books that looks like he's been a worthy
How about
investment.
Bernard Badashile?
He's going to get found out. Let's give him time.
Really?
He's going to get found out. If Koulibaly could get found out, he will get found out.
Amel Umtiti, Clement Lenglet.
Look at them.
It's a long list of them.
So he'll eventually
but there's Saliba at Arsenal, of course.
So for Pochettino,
yeah,
he's not the manager that wants to be in bad players. Pochettino is the manager that wants to make bad players play good, and that's how it's going to cost him.
All right.
You understand?
All right.
A manager that wants to succeed at a club like Chelsea needs to be in those players first.
All right. Well, sadly, time is up. So we'll have this conversation on radio later in the afternoon. I hope you'll be there. Peter, thank you very much for being a part.
We're
supposed to be here today.
Because he's also a fan and he's had some really harsh things to say.
Yeah, we'll do Maguire again next week, Saturday. Thank you very much.
I hope he doesn't give us a reason to do him again. I'm being honest.
Well, he's going to play the next couple of games.
Because we have Brighton this weekend, which he will not play. But we have a match midweek.
Yeah.
And he will arguably play. And we will come here and talk about
that's a talk for another day, Peter. Thank you very much. Well, do you want to be a part of the conversation? Head to social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and enjoy. Back next week, Saturday. Do want to enjoy the rest of the day's broadcast and have a fantastic Saturday. Yeah. Well, happy Eid al-Fitr to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Let the love of the season dwell in our hearts. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. My name is Isaac. I had Peter for company, and together we're saying ciao, ciao, adios.